Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking about reciprocity.com. The E is spelled with a 3. This is where I believe anybody can get feedback on their writing to help them improve and become a much more prolific writer. In this particular video series, I am going to give you some help about graduate school. I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. This is my thesis help series. So I get into these different issues of how to deal with graduate school. And this one is, how do you get unstuck on a really difficult problem that you're working on? Because we all have been there. We've all gone through this where you are dealing with a really difficult problem and you don't know what to do. You get really stuck on something. That's just kind of a natural part of graduate school, where you get really stuck on a particular issue and you don't know where to go to. You don't know what to do. And I'm going to give you a couple of tricks that I've learned and based on sort of research on creativity and stuff like that, that can be helpful for you. So the first thing is, make sure if you get stuck, as soon as you feel yourself getting stuck, maybe you've been there for an hour or two, can't figure something out, just stop, go for a walk. Maybe you go for a 10-minute, 15-minute walk. Maybe you go for a jog. But what that's going to do, and it is absolutely the best way to think of creative solutions and the best way to come up with something new or different. What it's going to do, it's going to get your blood flowing. It's going to make sure that blood is going to your brain. It's also going to get you to relax. One of the problems, you get anxiety when you are trying to solve a problem and you can't do it. And then you kind of get locked out and you can't see the bigger picture, and you're not kind of in that flow state, what's called a flow state. And you have to get yourself into that flow state. And the way that you do that is just go and relax and try to enjoy the moment. Go try, find something else. And that really does help. It accelerates your creativity quite a bit by going for walks like that. Because you will notice after a while, your productivity diminishes. You get diminishing returns. And just by going for walks is going to help you keep thinking of new and different things. So the second thing that you should be thinking about is just or that you can do is just go and ask a novice. There's this thing called functional fixedness. It's really kind of interesting, actually. This is where experts, because they're trained and they have all of this knowledge and they understand a procedure or some equipment or an experiment in a certain way, they have an expert understanding. They can't see that thing in a different direction. They can't see it in a new way. And the way that you can sort of unlock yourself from this functional fixedness problem is you can go and just talk to somebody who's a complete novice. Tell them about what you're trying to do. Try to explain it in a way that the novice is going to explain it. Sometimes that really does helps them to understand what's going on with what you're doing, and then they might provide solutions. And the bigger part of it allows you to sort of talk about what you're trying to do and allows you to sort of reframe the problem to something that's a little bit more simpler and easier to deal with. The third thing that's really incredibly important, make sure you do go ask your colleagues. If you get stuck, try to find somebody to talk to and chat with and talk to. Maybe it is a colleague that is more senior than you and has dealt with a similar problem. They might be able to sort of dodge a bullet and say, well, maybe not work on something like that. That's a little bit difficult, but maybe you should try something else. So just go ask some faculty around you. That might help you get through the problem, right? Or you can go ask one of your lab mates, for example. The other thing is, so the fourth thing that I think is really fun, and I don't do this as much as I should, but I definitely should do this, is just have a lot of fun with what you're trying to do, and make sure you turn that problem-solving process into a fun exercise, because what that's going to do is going to train you to enjoy what you're doing, and that's going to get you relaxed. It's going to get your endorphins up. It's going to get you into the mindset where you're thinking about yes and rather than no, sort of negation mindset. The yes and is a lot of fun because it allows you to start thinking in very creative ways. So you say, well, I really would like to do this, and that's amazing, yes, but we can also do this as well and build that on top of that, and then we can start doing all this kind of crazy things. The way that you can do a really simple way is start thinking about the problem that you have and the solution that you're trying to get in analogous ways. So making analogies to something else. So what that's going to do, it's going to bring out features that you didn't normally see in the thing that you're looking at. So it might be, maybe you're working on a problem, some sort of tough math problem, and you start thinking about, well, is that analogous to fuzzy bunnies, right? And how's that analogous to fuzzy bunnies? Well, fuzzy bunnies makes me think of sort of fuzzy logic. Maybe fuzzy logic is going to apply here. Maybe you can think of, maybe working on some sort of lab technique. Maybe you're working on precipitating some new chemical or something like that in the lab, and you have to think about, well, what's the analogy with clouds? Well, then you have to think about what precipitation. Well, how does that work? And maybe there's condensation that happens in the clouds and then it falls down. Well, maybe I can think of that there's a new way that I could do this and precipitate in a different way compared to what I was normally doing, right? So you can think of all these different analogies. It's really helpful and a lot of fun, and it keeps you creative. It keeps your sort of thinking very, very creatively and allows you to get unstuck very quickly. So those 4 things, my preference always, because I'm always worried about getting exercise, just going for a walk or going for a short jog. Normally after about 4 or 5 hours, you're just, you need to get up and get moving and go do something. So, and that makes a big, big difference unless you're superhuman. But definitely after a while, you need to get up and go do something, and that's going to relax you, and it's going to get you start thinking in a much different way. And it is very, very effective. I've done it multiple times. I've done experiments on myself to see how that actually works. And my productivity does increase if I do walks every once in a while. It is very, very helpful. So that's it. So if you're interested in the Reciprocity Project, what I'm doing is I'm trying to help out graduate students with it. I'm trying to create something where it is going to be beneficial to writers, but then at the same time, if it ever makes money, and at this moment it totally doesn't, but if ever makes money, I would love to actually start giving out scholarships and stuff like that to graduate students, because I think it's really fun to be able to do that, super exciting to be able to do that, to give back to people that have helped me by sort of paying it forward. So check it out, Reciprocity, spelled with a 3. Take care, have a wonderful day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.